I've said before that planning can be catastrophic for your progress because it can hold you back from actually taking action. But that's only true if you let planning turn into procrastination instead of using it as a tool to get moving. If you are disciplined enough to start coding the moment you finish planning, then what I'm going to talk about can help you. If you aren't that disciplined, I would recommend starting with smaller projects that don't require much planning, just so you build the habit of taking action. So in this video, I want to talk about my 4-step planning process that helps me find project ideas and plan how I'm actually going to build them. Just a warning. Be careful not to let planning turn into a means of procrastination. You're not actually making progress when you're planning, you're just organizing your thoughts. Progress will come from actually writing code. With that said, let's get right into it. The first part of the planning process is getting the project idea. Now, you're going to find one that you are actually enthusiastic about. For example, let's say you like math. In this case, you can build a calculator or something a little bit more complex, like a trinomial solver. You don't want to build something that doesn't drive you just because someone on the internet said that you must build this. If you do this, you'll start seeing coding more like a burden and not as a creative hobby. I'll be honest with you, most of my project ideas come to me randomly, usually when I'm coding or doing anything related to programming. Then I usually write them down so that I can visit them later on. In fact, you may have some ideas coming up while you're watching this. But if you struggle with this, I suggest grabbing a piece of paper and a pencil and writing down 20 project ideas. One of them at least should interest you. I haven't really done this with project ideas because I always have something in my mind that I want to build. But I have done this in other areas of my life and I can say that it can help. Just don't overthink it. You don't have to build something that will change the world when you're a beginner. Focus on getting experience and on skill building. Once you find the idea, move on to the next part, which is expanding on it. So in this part, I list out the features that I want my program to have. Let's say you are building a very simple calculator. You might want to add a history tab for past calculations or an undo button, but for beginners I suggest keeping it as simple as possible. Generally, you want to do this planning process as quickly as possible if you are a beginner, and focus instead on actually taking action and gaining experience. I suggest using a website like Notion, where you could write all of these ideas and features down. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's move on to the third step. This is a little bit silly, but all of my project's UI layouts are initially planned in MS Paint. Well, it's pretty easy to use and you can save up a lot of time. Maybe I'll have some example of some of my older projects on screen right now. I use rectangles to represent frames, labels, buttons, and etc. And this can be actually really handy if you're using a library like tkinter in Python or HTML and CSS. If you're a beginner, building a graphical user interface might be a little overwhelming for you, but you should find out for yourself if that's the case. If yes, you can completely skip this part of the process and focus on actually writing the code. Now let's move on to the final and most high reward step, which is creating a task board. I'm using the Notion website for this. It's free to use, so I'll probably have a link in the description. I'm not sponsored or anything, obviously. I just find it very helpful. What you want to do is create a board with 3 columns. Not started, in progress and done. I'll have a tutorial in the description. Find out and write down all of the tasks that your project needs. This can take 15 to 20 minutes, but I think it's really worth it. So this might be something like initialize Git, build the UI, user interface, add basic functionality, document your code. You get the point. Work through them one at a time if you can, in order to avoid chaos and confusion. Whenever I use this board, my motivation to code increases dramatically, because my mind sees it like a video game, where you have to complete certain quests, you get the point, to achieve your mission. What I want to say is that apart from extra productivity, this task board can make the whole building process more fun and exciting. Before finishing the video, I want to warn you once more. Planning will not be the deciding factor when it comes to progress. In fact, if you're not disciplined enough, it can hold you back from doing the actual work, which is writing code, fixing bugs, and learning about new concepts. These 3 tasks will make you 80% of your progress. Planning is secondary, so if you are a beginner, you must spend as little time as possible here. Of course, as you progress and you start building more complex applications, you'll need to dedicate more and more time to planning because it's going to become more and more essential. But for now, focus on taking action, writing code and getting experience. Anyway, I hope I helped you and I didn't waste your time. If I didn't waste your time, consider pressing the subscribe or the like button. Remember to start building using the knowledge that you already have faith in Jesus Christ, and take care.